friends. Welcome to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. This is Marla, and today we are going to be creating 2 cards using the Songbird Serenade product suite. Here I'm showing you the stamp that comes with 4 different sentiments. We also have a coordinating stencil that will work with the press plate as well as the stamp set. It also works on its own, and I'm showing you on the left side there is a product key, so there is a heart that you would align for each layer of the stencil. Today, I'm going to be creating with the press plate. Now, this works with the Better Press system, but today I'm going to be doing some hot foiling with that plate. I like to heat up my plates a little bit longer when they're large in size like this. So I did heat up my foil press and the plate for 2 minutes. I added the Gemini foil press foil, which is a rose gold, over the top, pretty side down, and then added some hammer mill cardstock over top that's been cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Once it's finished with the timer, I add my plate over the top and run it through my Gemini Junior, and just like that, I'm going to have a perfectly foiled image. I'm going to remove this, but I want to use this negative piece. I don't like to let things go to waste. I will add my Pink Fresh Studio solid foil plate over the top. Again, I'm setting it for 2 minutes, the timer. I'm adding that etched image over the top, pretty side down. You can see that hummingbird that's been etched out. I'll add my hammer mail cardstock over the top. Once it's hit the 2-minute mark, I'll add the cover, run it through my Gemini Junior, and you are going to see how spectacular this foiled. This is like a no fail, whether I'm using the Crafty Meraki dies or whether I'm using their press plates. I get perfect foiling every single time. I'm going to use this die to cut out the pieces. You'll see that it cuts most of the pieces, but there is the hummingbird that's going to be attached at the breast to the flowers in the center. I went ahead and I clipped the hummingbird from each of the images once I die cut them, and we are going to swap them on our cards today. For card number 1, I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of black cardstock because we all know that black and gold is so incredibly elegant. I'm making sure to align each of the pieces exactly in the places that they belong so that I don't have any open black spaces. I'm making sure that I'm getting them all the way to the edge. Once I get the 3rd image down, which is going to be the leaves in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to bring in the hummingbird, and you'll see how it nestles perfectly inside those flowers. I've added some foam tape to it. I want to make sure the hummingbird is in place before I add this last set of leaves because I don't want an open spot of black where the bird is overlapping those leaves instead of those leaves shining like they should be. I do use a timeless frame. This is a new frame from Crafty Meraki. It is the A2 timeless frame. There's 3 different dies in this scallop set. It's absolutely beautiful. It is a little bit smaller than my card panel, so that's why it was very important to make sure that I had the edges aligned on those gold foiled pieces. Because I added foam tape to my white hummingbird, I do need to clip back some of the extra dimensional tape that I've added to the frame. So I added that dimensional tape to make sure that that frame fits perfectly and level over my hummingbird. Where it is touching the wing, I want to make sure that I've trimmed that away so that that area is not going to have a lump or bump in it. Once I get that foam tape removed, I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper from my hummingbird and put it in its place. And then finally, I will add my frame over top, removing the release paper from the foam tape from the frame as well. And then you're going to see just how absolutely beautiful this is. Now, because I did cut that frame out of black, I wanted to make sure that it stood out, even though it is popped up. I did want to add a little bit more detail to it. So what I decided to do is use my Tombow Starry watercolors. These are some beautiful gold watercolors that have 3 different shades of gold, and then it has a white watercolor that looks beautiful on black cardstock, but you really couldn't see it on white cardstock. And I'm going to take the darkest of the golds, which has more of a red tint to it. I thought that it matched the best with the rose gold foiling that I used. And so I'm going to accentuate, add a little bit more sparkle on this card by adding a little bit of that gold watercolor around the edges of each of the scallops. I will have all of the products that I have used linked in the description box below for easy shopping. I absolutely love birds in the spring. I don't know about you. Here where I live, we have hummingbirds, and they're some of my favorites. And there are so many beautiful ways that you can color these up. So here I'm using that watercolor. You can see that I'm just using a fine brush going around the edges of the scallops. Once I finish going around all 4 sides, I'm going to go back over some of the areas, making sure that I have an even application. So I don't want some of the areas to be lighter than others. So I'm just darkening up some of the areas where I had a little bit of a lighter application, and then we'll add our sentiment. For our sentiment, I cut the shadow layer 3 times from black cardstock. I had some rose gold cardstock for the happy birthday for the letters, so I went ahead and used that rose gold cardstock for that. The reason that I added the additional dimension to the shadow die is because I don't want it recessed. I want it to be at the same level as my frame and as my hummingbird. I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle, so to speak, as it sits on the card. Now, if you don't have rose gold foil or a foil that matches the hot foil that you used, if you don't have a cardstock that color, you certainly can use that solid pretty pink or pink fresh studio plate. Add the same hot foil over the top of it, and then cut your letters out from that once you ran it through your hot foil machine. So for card number 2, I used the Diamond Dazzle press plate, and I used the same rose gold. This one is going to be just a little bit different. I added some foam tape to the back of the flowers, again adding foam tape to the back of the gold hummingbird. You can see that for the letters, I went with the rose gold. For the shadow, again, I popped that up, and then I did white cardstock for the letters happy birthday. I'm showing you the beautiful shimmer and shine. So I got a 2-for-1 out of this, a little bit different look by swapping out the hummingbirds. I hope that this gives you an idea of how to change up your products and get more use out of them. I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, have a fabulous day.